The Ontario government will be investing $100 million this year to support 27 IVF clinics across the province. It's all part of their multi-year plan to make fertility treatment more accessible. So is it working? And what else needs to be done? Dr. Prati Sharma is the president of the Canadian Fertility and Andrology Society, and she joins me in studio. Great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to speak about this incredibly timely topic.
Well, let's talk about it. I want to better understand, how does government-funded fertility treatment right now, what does it cover currently?
So the Ontario Funding Program allows any patient who's a resident of Ontario and has a valid OHIP card to receive one IVF cycle. Now, there's certain stipulations. You must be under the age of 43 at the time of your eligibility. An IVF cycle includes ovarian stimulation and the egg retrieval and all embryo transfers from viable embryos that result from that cycle.
I'm assuming it does not include medications or anything that's on the side over there.
You are correct. It does not include medication or any add-ons like genetic testing of embryos currently.
In terms of a cycle, how long does that actually, is it measured in a calendar year? How long is typically a cycle?
Yeah, an IVF cycle typically takes about 2 weeks. You start ovarian stimulation at the beginning of your cycle, typically on day 2 or 3, take medications that are injectable for about 10 to 12 days, followed by an egg retrieval under sedation, and either a fresh transfer or a frozen embryo transfer at a subsequent time.
All right, let's talk about some supports there. The Ontario government introduced the fertility treatment tax credit last year to help with these medications and the add-on costs. What isn't covered and what is it supporting?
So, as you said, medication is not covered, genetic testing of embryos is not covered, and the purchase of donor gametes, sperm or eggs, is not covered. And so these are significant costs to patients that can be up to $7,000, $10,000, even up to $20,000. So this is where the Ontario Fertility Treatment Tax Credit has become really complementary and helpful for patients. They can claim up to $5,000 expenses, $20,000 of expenses for a maximum of a $5,000 credit annually. And so it really does help defray the costs.
All right. Now, the Ontario government announced a new $100 million in funding. This is really about access and affordability. How does that actually fix it?
Well, first of all, we'd like to applaud the Ontario government for this significant investment. Fertility care is truly healthcare, and we're just so happy to see this investment in helping build families. So the first $50 million that was given this year covers about 5,000 additional cycles. That's really incredible because many Ontarians who could otherwise not access high-quality fertility care or would have to be on wait lists for up to 2 years are now accessing care within a couple of months, if not immediately. There'll be another $100 million deployed each year for a total of $250 million over 3 years. So you can imagine that's almost an additional 10,000 IVF cycles, and so many Ontarians are going to be able to access the fertility care they need.
You say many Ontarians. Can you give us an idea of how many families are using and people are using in vitro fertilization?
I mean, I think the data shows over 100,000 people are using it. But when we talk about the fertility landscape, we know that women are delaying their fertility due to economic concerns, finding the right person, wanting to be financially stable. And so the age at first pregnancy is increasing. So that number of people who need IVF to build their families is growing. The LGBTQ plus population is growing steadily, and they have unique fertility needs. Often they need an egg donor, a sperm donor, a surrogate, and this is only accessible through IVF.
All right, let's pick up on access. Ontario is pretty large.
Yes.
In terms of, there are 2 new clinics also that are going to be built, Brampton, Oakville. A lot of it is concentrated in southwestern Ontario. What does access look like in sort of northern communities in this province?
Yeah, this is a great question, and CFAS would love to partner with the government, that's the Canadian Fertility and Andrology Society, to help increase access in the northern communities. Now, the mandate of the government is truly there. They want to help these patients, so we really appreciate that. But you're absolutely right. A patient who lives in Timmins is very different from a patient who lives in downtown Toronto. Their access is dependent on their postal code. The patient who lives in Toronto probably has 15, 20 clinics to choose from, whereas the patient who lives in Timmins has lots of travel costs, monitoring, diagnostic testing. They might need to make 10 to 15 trips to Toronto, which can cost upwards of $2,000 to $3,000 in order to complete their cycle. And so what does that look like in the future? We see this as an opportunity for improvement. If we could build a hub and spoke model where we could have satellite monitoring centers in Northern Ontario. In my dream world, I'd love to see a freestanding, full-service IVF center that covers the northern region so that patients would not even have to leave that community, because we know that cost can be significant. So we ask that in the future, the government look into potentially helping fund or helping clinics build satellite clinics, build an IVF center, talk about what infrastructure is needed, talk about the workforce and the strategy that we need to be able to populate those clinics so that we can service and allow geographic equity.
Well, let's look into the future. The funding from the government says it's meant to standardize care by 2028. What does that actually mean?
Yes. Well, ultimately, we want the patients to receive the highest quality healthcare that's available, especially in the fertility space. And so standardization can involve multiple levels. All the clinics will be required to report their funded cycle outcomes to the Carter database. This is our aggregate national database that looks at all cycles, outcomes, and we use this data ideally to make improvements in the way we deliver care that's based on evidence. In August of 2025, we actually submitted a proposal to the federal government for a pan-Canadian national database. And the reason why is data metrics are important to allow us to deliver higher quality care. We want to be able to analyze that data appropriately. We want to create evidence-based recommendations for the future. All the clinics also need to participate in Accreditation Canada, and they need to be accredited by 2028. What does this look at? This looks at patient safety, outcomes of treatment cycles, financial stability, governance of clinics, infection control. And again, this is to deliver high quality, best-in-class care to our patients.
All right, so we've got data, we've got potentially better infrastructure in the north. What else is needed to help Ontarians access this kind of treatment?
I think full coverage is really important. As we said, medication costs are significant. Some patients have a drug plan, but most low-income families don't. PGTA, which is pre-implantation genetic testing for aneuploidy, looks to choose the embryo that has normal genetics and allows us to do elective single embryo transfers with the highest success rates. Some patients will have a genetic abnormality which needs them to do further genetic testing. This is called PGTM, or screening for monosomic disorders. If you combine the two, you're looking at an $8,000 to $12,000 cost. Wow. At least. If you are a same-sex male, you require a surrogate and an egg donor. This is a $120,000 at least cost. And you can see that even if we cover the funded cycle, all of these added costs are significant. One other point is elective egg freezing. We know that women are delaying childbearing. We know that they're doing this because of the economics, many other reasons. This gap will only increase. If we could offer patients coverage for having reproductive choice and options, then we're allowing them to build their family when they're ready at the right time.
Dr. Sharma, we are going to leave it there. This was really insightful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.